This channel features content related to real-life criminal cases and events, which may include references to violence, death, and other potentially distressing material. All content is intended for educational, documentary, and informational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We do not promote or glorify violence in any form. All stories are researched to the best of our ability and are presented with respect for victims and their families. Some details may be disturbing. Please watch responsibly and at your own risk. In 1982, a 12-year-old girl in the suburbs of Chicago had a sore throat. Her parents gave her a Tylenol. Hours later, she was dead. No one saw it coming. Mary Kellerman's death seemed like a freak medical event. But just a few hours later, another person, a postal worker named Adam Janis, also died. He had taken Tylenol earlier that day. Then it got worse. Adam's brother and sister-in-law were grieving in his home. They both had headaches. They both took Tylenol. They both died. 3 members of the same family died in one day. All had taken Tylenol from the same bottle. That's when investigators realized something horrifying. These weren't isolated tragedies. This was the beginning of a nightmare. Over the next few days, more people would die. In total, 7 people in the Chicago area were killed. All had taken extra-strength Tylenol, and all had been poisoned with cyanide. Someone had tampered with random bottles, laced them with poison, and returned them to store shelves. It was simple, fast, and devastatingly effective. At the time, Tylenol was one of the most trusted products in America. Everyone had it in their home. You got a headache, you reached for a bottle without thinking. That blind trust is what made it so terrifying. One moment you're trying to get rid of a headache. The next, you're suffocating to death from cyanide poisoning. Cyanide works fast. It blocks cells from absorbing oxygen. Victims collapse within minutes. Some never even make it to the hospital. The killer didn't need to know the victims. That's what made it worse. There was no personal motive. It was anonymous, random violence. That randomness created national panic. The media exploded. Stores yanked Tylenol from shelves. People started throwing away medicine. Hospitals were flooded with patients scared they'd been poisoned. Johnson & Johnson, the maker of Tylenol, was in chaos. The company launched a full recall of over 31 million bottles. That alone cost them more than $100 million. And yet, people praised their response. They didn't deny the danger. They worked with authorities. They warned the public. Their transparency may have saved their brand. But the most disturbing part, no one was ever caught. The FBI, local police, and even the FDA launched a massive investigation. They had hundreds of agents on the case, but there were no fingerprints, no footage, no clear motive, just a few scattered bottles of poison pills. Eventually, a man named James William Lewis sent a letter to Johnson & Johnson. He demanded $1 million to stop the killings. He was arrested for extortion and served 13 years in prison. But there was a problem. He wasn't in Chicago when the murders happened. And they never found any proof that he had touched those Tylenol bottles. He remained the only serious suspect for decades. But even after a raid of his home in 2009, the FBI couldn't build a case. He died in 2023, still denying he had anything to do with it. That means, officially, the Tylenol murders are still unsolved. And whoever did it got away with it. But the case changed everything. Before 1982, medication bottles didn't have safety seals, no tamper-proof packaging. You could open a bottle, mess with the pills, and no one would know. After the Tylenol murders, That changed forever. Foil seals, plastic wraps, safety caps, it all became mandatory. The FDA passed new regulations. Other industries followed. Food, drinks, medicine, everything became safer because of those 7 deaths. It's disturbing to think about that it took 7 random killings to make companies care about packaging safety. But it worked. The Tylenol case became a textbook example of how tragedy forces change. It also became a warning. After the case, dozens of copycat poisonings were reported. Most were fake, some were real. One person had created an idea that you could kill completely anonymously using everyday products and vanish. And they proved it worked. That's why this case still haunts people. Not just because it was never solved, but because it revealed a terrifying weakness, that we trust things without thinking. That safety is often just an illusion. To this day, when you open a bottle and see that foil seal, that plastic ring, that warning label, that's because of the Tylenol killer. It's protection. It's safety. It's the scar left behind by a person who was never caught. And maybe never will be. So the next time you pop open a bottle of medicine, remember, it wasn't always like that. And someone out there proved just how easy it was to turn trust into fear. 7 people died. The killer vanished. And the rest of us learned the hard way that safety is never guaranteed.